Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Terence Crawford and Canelo. I've been doing a lot of videos on them, and I've been reading the comments. And I'm surprised to hear many boxing fans say that they feel Crawford has a weak resume and they feel Canelo has a weak resume. The other consistent thing is that Crawford is a great fighter, Canelo's a great fighter. So my thing is, are they both great or have they both been carefully crafted? Now, first let me just say welcome to the channel. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, leave that donation for the fried rice and chicken wings. Become a member to the channels. If you like watching my videos, what's $3 a month, $4 or $5 a month? Become a member to the channel. If I can get that to grow, believe you me, you will get even better content. And I think my content is pretty good. But let's take a little time. You know, I like to do 20 to 30, 40-minute videos. That way when you're riding in your car, hook up your little phone or whatever and just press play on my videos. I don't use a whole lot of profanity. So if you have kids in the car, it shouldn't hurt their ears. But I think we need to dive a little deep into two of the most celebrated names in modern boxing, as of today. I think Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, man. One thing that we can all agree on, I would hope at this point, you guys are champions, okay? Pound for pound elites. Two men who've dominated their divisions and built legacies that command respect. My son, hold on a second. My son up there playing that damn flute. Hold on 1 second. Messing me up because my baby, my 7-year-old sleeping, so they can't be up there doing that crap. Let me see if he answers. Let me call my other son. Hold on 1 second. Messing up my thought process. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. I would start the video over, but I'm not. You know why? Because I'm human, and I'm sure a lot of you guys go through the same things. It's 11:17 at night. I thought all my sons were sleeping, but 2 of them are up, and my 11-year-old is up there playing a damn flute. Anyway, back to business. Talking about Terence Crawford and Canelo, right? 2 pound-for-pound elites. Guys who've been doing the business for a while and have the respect of most of the boxing community. But the question is what I mentioned when I first started this video. Are we celebrating greatness, or is this just great marketing, just great matchmaking? Because while Crawford and Canelo have belts, the accolades and the highlight reels, the growing conversation in boxing circles and on my channel, because I've been doing a lot of videos on these two guys lately, one that questions the depth of Crawford and Canelo's resumes. So I think we need to try to unpack that. On this channel, there's absolutely no bias, no fanboy energy, just, a little speculation, a little analysis, prediction, dialogue, with a whole lot of facts, a whole lot of context, a little bit of uncomfortable truth, and a sense of humor. Now, Terence Crawford, I don't like how people treat him, man. I just think they just treat Terence Crawford awful. But the bottom line is, he's a master technician. Whether you want to say something positive about him or not, he's undefeated. 3-division world champion. First male fighter to become undisputed in 2 weight classes in the 4-belt era. That is a big, big deal. Sounds pretty legendary to me, right? But there are those who are going to say, hold your horses, hood champion. Let's not take it to the stupid and let's rewind the tape. Let's talk about Crawford at lightweight. Crawford beat Ricky Burns. He beat Ray Beltran. He deserves credit for those wins. They were solid fighters, but let's not take it to the stupid because they were not elite. At 140, he unified the division. Okay, attaboy, good job, bud. That's historic, but who'd he beat at 140? We're going to sit here and praise and laud Terence Crawford for becoming undisputed at 140, but who'd he beat? Okay, you keep hearing this name. Victor Postal. Even some YouTube channels, let's say Victor Postal. Look, man, Victor Postal, he had a good jab. He had an awkward style. At the time, he was the man, but Crawford proved that maybe Victor Postal wasn't a top-tier threat. He fought Julius Ndongo out of nowhere. Ndongo came out of nowhere, man, and Crawford flattened him in 3 rounds. Crazy. Then he had John Molina Jr., Felix Diaz. Again, solid names, not really killers. So Crawford was dominant. You can't blame him because he's so special of a fighter. And there's no question about that. But the question's about the opposition, man. It wasn't really stacked with Hall of Famers, you know what I mean? As a result, if you look at what Crawford did at 140, some people turn their nose up at it and say, hey, anyone who was elite could have did what Crawford did, what Crawford accomplished at 140 pounds, become undisputed, if they had to fight those individuals. So then Crawford, he bubbles up to 147. Now, we know at 147, that division was deadly at the time. Sharks, man, you know what I mean? I'm not just talking about the Earl Spence shit. I'm talking about the Mayweathers, the Danny Garcias, the Thurmans, the Earl Spences, man. There was a whole lot of everybody in that division. That division was deep, man. But anyway, Crawford for years, man, he was like on top rank. It was all this other side of the street talk taking place with PBC fighters, Terence Crawford. And Crawford just seemed to be out there like somebody window shopping, on the outside looking in and seeing everybody else, active and making money and buying things. And all the things Crawford wanted, man, he just had to sit back on the outside and look in for a long, long time. But what's crazy is him watching Thurman, Porter, Danny Garcia, Spence, all with PBC, and him wanting to fight those guys, and then he ends up going and getting Jeff Horn. Now, Jeff Horn, look, no matter what you think about Jeff Horn, he controversially beat Pacquiao. Jeff Horn was a big 147-pounder, and he was awkward, he was dirty, but you saw, and he was a threat, but you saw that there were just levels. And Crawford did the business against Jeff Horn. Another big name he fought at 147, Amir Khan. But we know Amir Khan, man, has all heart, no chin. Fought Kell Brook. Kell Brook, big, strong. Made the fight a little bit interesting until Terence Crawford decided he wanted to end the fight. Kell Brook, many people said he was already broken and past his prime. Then when he got in there with Jose Benavidez Jr., I'm going to tell you, he was a good fighter. And I'll say this. If Jose Benavidez Jr. had a healthy leg, he got shot and shit. But if that leg was healthy, I'm not saying he would have won. But I'm not saying he would have lost either. Because that fight was very competitive. Until, Terence Crawford does what he does. He makes the adjustments and starts to figure things out. And then he started picking up the pace. When Crawford gets mean, 2 things. If Crawford goes into the phone booth and turns into Southpaw Man, the fight ends. If Crawford gets mean, the fight ends. And in this particular instance, he was Southpaw Man. and he became mean. But finally in 2023, all that time fighting at 147 pounds, man, Crawford finally got to fight one of the fights he wanted, a huge fight, where him and Errol Spence was able to get in the ring and get busy. And let me tell you something. What I know people have something to say about Errol Spence in the car accident. I'm not here to talk about that. But what I am here to say is Crawford delivered a masterpiece, man. No matter how you feel, when you just sit aside everything and just focus on what you saw in the ring, you couldn't have, that could not have been scripted any better. Absolutely amazing what Crawford did, man. Totally dismantled Errol Spence, made it look easy. Errol Spence did come out and step to Crawford. You just saw at the end of the first round, Crawford had started to figure him out. Shit looked like Errol Spence lost some confidence at the end of the first round. But even with that win, although it was very impressive, it came with some asterisks, like I said, man. Spence had been inactive, survived a car crash, had the eye surgery, looked drained at the weigh-in. Just a lot of things going on. So, in conclusion, when it comes to Terence Crawford, many people feel and still felt and feel that he was brilliant, and he is brilliant. His timing, the IQ, switch hitting, ring generalship, everything that I've talked about in other videos, man. It's the shit's elite. But the resume is where people keep coming back to it. It's not as deep as it should be for someone that, many would say is the best pound for pound fighter in the world. Now, that's the difference between being the face of boxing and pound for pound. But then you got the face of boxing, Canelo. So let's talk about that, and hopefully you understand the things I was saying with Terence Crawford. It's just a conversation, so Terence Crawford fans don't jump off a bridge into a river with man-eating crocodiles butt naked and try to swim to the other side, because you're not going to make it. Canelo is the red-headed assassin from Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. Viva Mexico, cabrones. Canelo don't F around, man. Face of boxing for over a decade. That shit is crazy. Fought Mayweather, Triple G 3 times, the first 2. You know how I feel about that. The third one, it is what it is. Put the Bing Bings on a kind of old, faded Miguel Cotto. Went up to 175 in a weird fight with a hard puncher like Kovalev. He's actually killed someone in the ring, and Canelo damn near killed Kovalev in the ring. Unified 168, move up and down weight classes just like it's nothing. Pretty impressive, man, until you stop and you look a little bit closer at what Canelo's done. Turned pro at 15. Absolutely outstanding to see someone that young at age who knows what they want to do, and particularly to get in the ring and have grown men punch that 15-year-old face and body all over them. Racked up wins in Mexico against unknowns, which comes with the territory. You go out there and build up your experience. But his early resume is bloated with names that never made it past regional level. Okay? And those are just facts. But he did go on to get into some pretty big damn fights. Got in there with Floyd Mayweather. Canelo was young. He was inexperienced. He got schooled. Even Canelo will tell you that. He fought Arizona De Lara. I think Canelo won that fight. But the decision to this day was controversial. A lot of people felt Lara won that fight. Triple G won. Again, I told you, I thought Triple G won the first fight. That was a controversial draw. Many people had Golovkin winning. And Triple G 2 was a razor close fight. Canelo edged it, but again, it was debatable. I had Triple G winning. The third fight, Triple G just fought to get that money. He didn't even look like he cared. He just wanted to get that, $25 million or some shit he was getting paid. But then came the strategic fights, okay? He fought Rocky Fielding. Rocky Fielding, okay, if you ever hungry and you want a sandwich, maybe get a turkey, maybe get a pastrami, maybe get a ham, but then you have the shit sandwich. If I was to characterize Rocky Fielding as a type of sandwich, he would be a shit sandwich. He was a paper champion, man. So Canelo went and clipped the paper champion. Many people scoff at that shit and say he deserves no credit for that win. Went and fought Sergey Kovalev, 175. Kind of like Devin Haney, like to be very strategic in the opponents that he selects when he's bubbling up in weight. They got to look a little bit faded, which Kovalev did. They got to be a little bit chinny, kind of like Kovalev was. And you got to be coming off a war just weeks earlier, which is what Kovalev did. See, a lot of people don't know Kovalev had just come off of a war weeks earlier when he got in the ring with Canelo. But it's neither here nor there. He did the business. Then he faced Caleb Smith, fought Billy Joe Saunders, he fought Caleb Plant. These guys are all good fighters. Caleb Plant, we know he's a good fighter, but he's not elite. He's not special. He's a one-handed fighter, a lot of talent. But, you know, once the left hand isn't working no more, the jab and hook, because he's naturally southpaw, fights orthodox. The right hand is a throwaway punch. The right hand brings nothing to the table with that right hand. But he's really good, great. I mean, I'm not here to say whether he's great or not, but I don't think none of those guys were. I'm not gonna call them great. But they're good fighters. But again, when you're talking about Canelo, who's elite and special, and those guys that he fought, none of them proved themselves against top tier opposition. Okay, so that's a pretty big deal. And then you wonder why when Canelo stepped up to face Dimitri Bivol at 175 pounds, you know, he got outboxed. Pretty clean, no controversies, no excuses. I mean, even Canelo said, I just got tired. He's trying to punch Bivol in the arms, and that shit didn't work. That strategy didn't work. So, yeah, Canelo fought a lot of names, but many of those fights were perfectly timed, catching opponents past their prime or cherry-picking styles that suited him. You may or may not agree, but that's how the majority of people see it. He's a brilliant businessman, very skilled, takes his craft serious, makes every fight, you know, kind of look easy, slows the fight down to the pace he's comfortable with. He wants to pick it up. He wants to slow it down. He dictates the terms of the fight. But again, skilled fighter, but how deep is a resume when you strip away the marketing? Okay? But some people just need to understand that's just the game of boxing, man. It's all about the politics. The Wu-Tang Cream, dollar bill, y'all. Cha-ching, ching. Boxing's just not about who you fight. It's about when you fight them, man. Where you can make the most money. Build your profile. Establish your platform. Both Crawford and Canelo have played the game well, man. Some would say they've avoided risky fights. They've waited until opponents were vulnerable. They've used promotional leverage to dictate terms. Now, that's not cheating. That's boxing. But it raises questions. What are we rewarding here? Great fighters, weak resumes are rewarding the strategy, being strategic, very particular about opponent selection. Or are we really rewarding bravery? Because when you look at Crawford and Canelo, look, man, those guys I think they're outstanding. But I'm just going to say, when I start talking about legends like, you know, Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, you know, Chavez Jr., Joe Frazier, I mean, you know, them guys fought the best. You know, in their prime, no excuses, man. You know what I'm saying? And with them, it wasn't even about money. It's just like, somebody want to fight me? Okay. Their pride, man. But I know things are different now. These guys have huge teams, huge entourages. They got guys on the outside who got the brains with the big pointy hats on their head and shit. And they're the ones who are saying, nah, don't do this. We should go this route. Advisors and all that craziness. You kind of look at what's going on with Jerome Boots Ennis right now. Well, the fact that he was supposed to become undisputed at 147, that shit didn't happen. Now he's at 154. Was supposed to go straight into a title fight with the best fighters at 154. That shit ain't happening. But is it Jerome Boots Ennis? Maybe a little bit, but is it a whole lot of Eddie Hearn and other key decision makers outside who may be part of the team, on the outside of the team, who have influence over the decisions? Could be. But the bottom line, when you talk about today's fighters compared to them legends I just mentioned, man, they rather protect their O and wait and just not negotiate, not seriously negotiate everything. They may have a conversation to make it look good, but they're not really trying to get in there. So the bottom line is, we got a super fight, Crawford and Canelo, and I think it deserves to be called a super fight. I think it deserves to be called a legacy fight, because this isn't the 60s and 70s anymore. It's not the 80s anymore. It's 2025, so we just got to appreciate what we have in front of us. But it's definitely a clash of styles, weight classes, repetition. But let's be real. Crawford is a natural 140, 147 pounder. Canelo's walking around at 180 plus pounds. Some people say this isn't a fair fight. This is a cash grab. It's just going to be a spectacle. Crawford's going to get in there, and if he lasts to the 12 rounds, it's because he runs. But if he stands there and he does like Turki Al-Sheikh, encourages and not have a Tom and Jerry type fight, then he's going to get blasted out of there within probably the first 2-3 rounds. But at the same time, there are a concentric few who's going to sit there and tell you, look, this fight needs to be sold as greatness versus greatness. But in truth, it's two fighters. When you listen to them and you get beyond the marketing and promoting the fight shit, you know, they really want to validate their legacies. Like they really, this fight really means a lot to both of these guys. It gives Crawford a chance to prove to everyone that he really is the real deal, and those guys he fought, they weren't flukes, and it wouldn't have mattered who he fought, he would have beat him. He was just that special of a fighter. And it gives Canelo a chance to prove to everyone that, you know what, I'm not a fluke. And when I did get in there with elite opposition, yeah, I struggled, but I'm going to prove to y'all that I'm special. And these guys have been dominating for a while, so I can't see them not trying to dominate each other when they get in the ring. But again, it comes back to, you know, they haven't consistently beaten the best at their best. This fight isn't just about belts. This fight is about proof. And there's a couple of things that need to be proven here. Crawford's got to prove that he can handle size and power. Like that shit is a big deal. And Canelo's got to prove that, you know, what he once was, that he still has it and can be this way, which is just, you know, he can be slick and he can beat a slick fighter and he can be a cerebral technician and he can beat arguably the best cerebral technician right now, probably, you know, next to Alexander Usyk. So the fight is very risky for both guys. It's very dangerous. And to me, it's exactly what boxing needs. Legacy, illusion, you know, what does that really leave boxing fans? Crawford and Canelo, elite. I just think there's no question. I think they are elite. The resumes may not be bulletproof. They've had brilliant moments. They've had safe ones, strategic ones, convenient ones, maybe some that you can blame the promoter on. But as fans, I just think the question should be, you know, do we want greatness or just the illusion of it? You know, you want to see all the best guys fight the best. Because true greatness isn't just about winning, you know what I mean? A loss can do a whole lot for your career. But it's really about who you beat, when you beat them, how you did it, and if you did lose to somebody, who you lost to, when you fought them. And when you look at the resume, you can say, okay, this person didn't duck anyone. And if you can do like Mayweather, great. But if you come out here like a guy like Canelo who's, you know, tried to challenge himself and go up and face someone like Bivol, like even in that loss, you had to commend him. But to me, I just think now is the time to see if they have the courage to chase legacy the hard way. Anyway, man, if you agree, disagree, y'all want to throw hands in the comments because I'm pretty sure, you know, The fans will, bring it on. This is boxing. Me, I just have conversations. Debating is part of the game. But y'all need to stay curious, stay sharp. Until next time, man, y'all know what I'm in. I'm in the breeze.